Hi guys, I'm going to show you how to install a house type of air conditioning unit into the camper van. It's one of these monoblock systems that need extraction of air to outside. Right, first of all you would need a camper van. I'm going to use our 2007 Fiat Ducato converted van. We have converted this van about 4 years ago. Use it in the summer and winter. It has got aircon running from the engine into the cab, but when you go to Spain or Greece, it can get really hot, and that aircon is just not man enough. Well, not man enough for my liking. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna install a standard house quality aircon unit. It's here, all boxed in. It's made by trough, some German company. I found this on eBay, but they got their own website as well, and you can get them from Amazon. What I was looking for is the smallest one of these monoblock units, and I found the 7000 BTUs, which has got a pump motor of about 750 to 800 watts, because I didn't want to put too much strain on my van's electrical system. Now, that is the aircon unit. Obviously, van is running on 12 volt DC, so we will need inverter. The best inverters for these type of appliances would be pure sine inverters. So again, good old eBay. I got this pure sine inverter, 2000 watts, 2 kilowatts, with a peak power of 4 kilowatts. I never used this one before. I have another inverter fitted in the camper van to run the other stuff, but I didn't want to use that inverter for aircon because I didn't want to overload it. Since I got already a standard fridge, under counter fridge, that is running off that other inverter, and some sockets for speakers and chargers for computer, and I also got a electric water heater that runs off that inverter. So we're gonna fit separate inverter and the aircon unit. Right, let's concentrate a little bit on the aircon unit. It's, as I said, is made by trough. It looks quite nice. It's designed to run standard height ceiling rooms up to 26 square meters, which is 65 cubic meters. Van obviously goes well into that range. 2000 watts is the cooling power of it. It's an A-rated appliance. 800 watts or 0.8 kilowatts per hour power consumption, and it needs extraction, air extraction to outside. Right, here is the unit. It looks pretty smart. This is one side of it. There's some technical details on the label. It's showing it's got 2 kilowatts of the cooling capacity, up to 230 meters cubed per hour. That will be the exchange of the air. Temperature range is between 15 and 35 degrees Celsius. That's desired temperature range. 800 watts or 0.8 kilowatts of consumption, power consumption, 21 kilograms. So it's not very heavy. and it's not over powerful, so it's not going to strain our van electrical system and drain the batteries too quick. Now, the size wise it's about 700 millimeters, just over 2 foot tall, and about 1 foot by 1 foot on the base. It's got some circulating grills, louver vents on the left hand side, which are, I suppose, for air inlet, and some more on the back. And here is the extraction point for the extracting of the air. It comes with its own 6-inch flexible hose and adapter. So that adapter with the hose will go on the back. Right, slide on, and then we can extend it to desired position with the angle and everything else that we need to. It also comes with a wall plate adapter that hose will be fixed to on the outlet, and I don't think that we're going to be using this on the van, but if you installing it in home, you would like to put that on the wall, because when you in the winter time when you don't use aircon, you can put this blanking plate on that adapter and cover the hole up. Also, it comes with about 3/4 inch diameter flexible hose for condensate to run out. That will have to be installed from the very bottom of the unit. Is a plug. Hose gets installed there, and then needs to be drained to outside with a little Jubilee clip. Right. There's another thing. It's an electrical supply. It comes with European style, Schuko style plug, angled plug, and it arrived to UK with adapter for UK 3-pin socket and 13 amp fuse. So that's cool. I'll probably disconnect or cut off this plug and just hardwire conventional UK plug, because it's going to be a bit less bulky. Now, being fairly compact, we'll have to find a space where we're going to fit it. I'm going to fit it on the front side of the van, next to our kitchenette. At the moment I have a bin that is fixed there, but that bin will have to be relocated somewhere else, and aircon unit will go there on that side, because the seating area it's close by that position, so when we travel my kids not going to be hot. There you go, the bin has been removed. Now I'm going to wheel this little aircon unit into the position. It's very handy because it's got little caster wheels, so it's going to sit approximately something like that. I'll have to leave some gap on the back because of the inlet grills, but it's got also grills on the right hand side, so probably position it somewhere like that. I'll need that for the marking up cutouts. And as you can see, it's not taking massive room. Still leaves me a good 3 foot of the width on the side door to get into the van, and the outlet will go through this cupboard wall into the cupboard, which is at the moment full with everything. The last strip, bottled water there. Right, that's gonna enter this side wall here, and I'll have to make a decision. I'm gonna fit the outlet on the side of the van, or maybe down through the floor. Probably through the floor wouldn't be a bad idea, because then I don't need to drill the side of the van, and I don't need to get a fancy grill, which also can leak some water in. And it's going to be nicely hidden if it goes down. So I'll have to think in a minute when I empty the cupboard and see what is going to be the best option. Also, I'll have to check the underside of the van for the best position I can use for reference. My ducts for sink hoses for hot and cold and waste. That's the sink. So if I go on the underside of the van, right, they're coming out there. So there is not enough room behind it because I got this cross member. Maybe right in front of it, if I can actually get enough room between the pipe and side wall of the cupboard to do it in that void there. This here is about 6 inches diameter, so maybe if I do just an oval shape hole, maybe 5 by 6, 5 by 7, and then run the hose down, that will be fine. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, this air conditioning unit is going to be running on 240 volts AC, and since air conditioning compressors and fridge motors, they're running with brushless motors, and brushless motors really need pure sine wave AC power supply, because modified sine is too crude and will make the motor run on lower speed, cause the overheating of the motor, quicker wear and tear, and because of the lower speed, the efficiency of that appliance, it's not going to be as desired. So here is 2000 watts 2 kilowatt pure sine wave inverter with a maximum discharge of 4000 for a short period of time. So let's open it up and see what we got inside. I hope they didn't send me just a couple of bricks in a box. They will not do that. There you go. It's a brand new shiny little inverter. Connecting cables, not very long, but I think I'm not going to need anything really longer than that. Anyway, user manual. So as you can see by the manual on one piece of paper, it's not very complicated to use that. Specifications, right, there you go, got some specification there, and let's try to pick it out of the box. Right, I'll have to turn this off for a moment. Right, here it is, unpacked. As you can see, we got instruction manual, cabling, we got a little bag with some bits and bobs, which are spare fuses, some washers for connecting the cabling, and thumb turn fixing nuts to connect the cabling to these two positions on the back of the inverter for positive and negative terminals. In between that is a cooling fan. It's a fairly long unit. I would say it's about 16 inches long, about 6 inches wide and 4 inches tall. On the front of the unit we got a 3-pin UK socket, on and off switch, digital display, and 2 little LEDs, one signaling for fault and one signaling that power is on. Made in China, as many other things that are coming around. On the side, it's fairly simple. It's all done out of ribbed aluminium, cast aluminium, for improved cooling performance of the unit. We've got some grills on the front, and as I said, fan on the back to keep it nice and cool. Now, because my aircon unit is 0.8 kilowatts, or let's say 800 watts, rule of thumb is when motors of that sort are starting up, they will draw up to 5 times more of that power. Now, 5 times more of that power would be 4 kilowatts, and that's why I got this 2 kilowatt inverter, which is 2 kilowatts running, and 4 kilowatts is the peak power for short periods of time, which is just enough as when air conditioning unit starts up. Now, I could have gone for slightly bigger inverter, but it will be heavier, larger in size, and more expensive. So I did try beforehand this air conditioning unit on slightly small inverter, and it did run. So if it managed to run on small inverter, I'm pretty sure that this larger one will be more than enough, especially on a running cycle when after the startup, by drawing only 800 watts and inverter supplying up to 2 kilowatts, that's more than enough. Now, I had 2 options of where to run this inverter from. One is, I'll just open the back doors so we can see this unit better. It's my power supply, onboard power supply, which is consisting of 2 120 amps batteries. One battery is there and one is on this side here, which gives me a total of 240 amps. And I have a smaller 2 kilowatt inverter up on top that runs rest of the van. Basically, I got some wall sockets, fridge, there's a water pump, and the boiler, water boiler to heat the water, so I can have a nice hot water on the kitchen sink. Now that inverter is running fine rest of the van, and these batteries are giving enough supply for what that inverter is actually using. Now, I didn't want to overload that system, so I had a different idea. Since we're not going to need to use this air conditioning unit unless we are camping and hooked up to external power source, or whilst we're driving. So if we are camping, obviously we're hooked up on the mains power, external power source. It doesn't really matter where it's being plugged in, as long as it's coming, so as long as the supply is coming from the mains. But whilst we're driving, I would rather run that air conditioning unit and inverter from vehicle's battery, because it will have constant recharge from the engine's alternator as inverter is drawing the power out. And I'll just have to make sure that that supply is being turned off every time before I turn the engine, or maybe just leave it a little bit earlier. Now, on Fiat Ducato, same as on Citroën and Peugeot models, and I think some Dodge van model as well, The vehicle battery is positioned within the cab under the floor, which obviously then gives me ideal position for my inverter under the passenger seat. So let's have a look at the space we got here. That's the battery. I already uncovered the lid for the battery and terminals. These are positive terminals here, and negative one is over there, or minus. Now, for inverter, I can actually connect one of the cabling directly down under the seat positioning bolts to get negative or minus terminal, and positive terminal will go onto one of these bolts here with the appropriate fuse, and then run it underneath the lid. Let me just get the lid. There is a little slot within the lid, these slots here, that will allow cabling to be extracted out above the battery compartment. There you go. So once that goes down, the cable will be able to come up here. I'll run it underneath this floor panel to under the seat and position the inverter somewhere underneath the seat here. Let me just try the inverter for the size. I'm pretty sure it's going to fit the under seat area. Right, it can fit either that way, which protrudes a little bit, or I can make a little mounting bracket and run a bit further over the rear bar, further backwards, and then have it right behind the seat area there. Now, another little thing with inverter having under the seat, with these terminals easily exposed, would be the ability of recharging the vehicle battery and jump starting the same. And right, I'll move this little fridge out of the way. So that's where the inverter is going to end up being there. Now, I reckon that will be good. Then I can run the standard AC powered cable from the socket underneath this floor panel down to the underside of the van, clip it with the rest of the services on the underside, and bring it up together with my pipes that are coming from the floor for the sink. Bring it up and then plug air conditioning cable into end of that cable within the cupboard. So cable is going to be nicely hidden and also easily rerouted if necessary later on. Right, as we can see, the cable for inverter for positive terminal is long enough to reach the fuse terminal on the battery. I will have to put another fuse on this slot here, because I strongly advise to use appropriate fuses to run any electrical supply on a vehicle to avoid fire hazard. And the negative or minus terminal can go from there, can even be bolted secretly to that bolt there, or maybe that chassis terminal over there. It's however it's long enough to do that. Now these here are going to be finger tight connectors, and they are going to be quite handy if I actually make a little adapter that will stick up as a little tail that I can run then my air compressor off them tails if necessary, or recharge the battery from the solar panel that I already got, little small dashboard solar panel. So when it's parked, I would be able then to connect these terminals from solar panel onto these here, and via this cable actually trickle charge the battery. Right, here's also a couple of bits that came with that aircon unit. We got instruction manual for that unit. Right, here's also a couple of bits that came with that air conditioning unit. One of them is instruction manual for that particular model, and remote control, which is going to be quite a handy thing actually to have it on the dashboard next to me, so kids don't fight around air conditioning unit, who's going to have control of it. Obviously it starts, because it's a German made product, starts with German and then goes on to English. Quick guide, as you can see, one page. It's not very complicated, so the best thing is to always read that first, just to make sure that you are familiar with the product. And it carries on for numerous other languages. It's just to please European Union, so every possible customer from Europe will know what this is. And on the back of the instruction manual there's some diagrams showing what is in the kit. It's the aircon unit, 6-inch flexi hose, one side adapter for the hose onto the unit, and the wall adapter with a plug and the remote control. These two grills on aircon unit are removable, and I suspect they got some sort of mesh filter on them for collecting any coarse dust that may come across. The way of installing the hose is square adapter that goes onto the aircon unit, goes on one side, the round wall adapter goes to the other side, side clips onto the aircon there, comes up like that. Now this is installation of the hose, saying you can run hose slightly uphill from 30 centimeters high to 120 centimeters high, so that's from 1 foot to 4 foot. There shouldn't be any downward kink, because the main reason for that is because some condensate can form from the air that is being extracted, especially if you're using in inverted mode to heat the room. I'm not sure that this aircon unit actually has that, but this is one of the reasons why you shouldn't have that bottom kink, because then condensate will collect there. And also they're saying do not discharge downwards, because then condensate would run down the pipe onto the wall, and obviously, well, we wouldn't like that to have that in the house, but since it's van, I don't mind discharging any condensate down onto the tarmac, because condensate pipe will have to go down anyway. And that's about it. Right guys, I hope that I didn't bore you too much, but I think it's very important to have really a good plan of how to install anything on a vehicle, because you don't want to drill chassis, floor, sidewall twice. You really want to make a plan, try to position everything, as some people would say, on dry without actually fixing anything or drilling, just to see how it's going to work. And please, it's always advisable to plan in the whole installation ahead. Don't try to start installation semi-planned, half-planned, and then needing to alter it as you go along. The best thing is plan it ahead, have everything clear, and then you can commence cutting, drilling, screwing, bolting, whatever else you will need. Right, I have planned my installation now, so I'm going to get some tools and get on with it. Right, my next clip will be actual installation of these units and putting the whole system in working order. So please just be patient for maybe a couple of days, and I will upload that video as well. Okay, thank you very much.